Every single one of my task trackers is meant to be 100% customizable to fit your exact position. And that's because whatever works for me may or may not work for you and what you do for a living. And that's one of the things that sets apart my task tracker from one of these pre-built templates, because you can customize it to however you want. So for example, let's say you want to add different columns, or if you want to change the drop-down options, or if you want to change the different colors, if you want to rename the tabs, or if you want to have a second calendar so you can see both this month and next. You can do all of that by just tweaking the formulas. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to walk through every single one of those customizations. But before you do that, you need to understand how the automation works. If you don't already subscribe, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and let's dive in. In its current form, whenever you log in, you'll click recurring, and anything that's due on your recurring task is going to be added to the bottom of your task list. You can click right here and click ascending, and that will be ordered from 1 to 0. Whenever you start a task, you'll mark it as pending, and a timestamp will appear under task started. And whenever you mark it as done, a timestamp will appear under task completed, and it will be moved all the way to the bottom of the done tab. If you're not ready to complete a task yet, you can mark it as parked, and it will clear from your task list and move to the bottom of your park tab. And whenever you're ready to complete it, you can simply mark it as ready, and it will move back to the bottom of your task list. All your tasks are automatically prioritized based off of the due date and the priority. So on the dashboard, you can see exactly how many tasks are pending, what their status is, their priority, as well as your dates. And over here on the calendar, you can see exactly what's due on each date, as well as the status. On the visualizations tab, you can see exactly what's been completed each week, as well as month for different categories. And on the recurring tasks, you can set different recurring tasks, how often do you want them to recur, what the task will be, and all the details there. You can adjust the different day thresholds right here, and the task focus drop down right here. Each week, you'll update the start date to whatever the next Monday is, and that's essentially it. So with that in mind, every single one of our triggers essentially is coming from this progress/status tab. So we have our pending to have the timestamp over here, we have our done, we have our parked, ready, things like that. So if you were to add a column to the left of this, you'll need to adjust the location of where this trigger is being looked up. But if you're adding it to the right of it, you'll need to adjust some things, but not necessarily everything. So let's dive in. So let's say we want to add something to the left. We'll go ahead and insert a column to the left. And you'll get this error message. Don't worry about that. That just means that it doesn't know exactly where to do. At the end of configuration, we'll go ahead and save it, exit out, re-enable the macros, and then it will work again. All right, so let's say right here, we want to create a dropdown, and we want to have it where it's pulling from a specific person's name, so you can assign different things to different people. We'll put teammate right here in the header. Then we'll select C3 all the way through the end of the column. And you can either select everything by dragging it down, or hold down Command-Shift down, or Control-Shift down to go all the way through the end. And we're going to go to Data, Data Validation, and we're going to do List. And there's two different types of lists that you can do. One, you can point to a column. So let's say in column R, we're going to list out all of our different teammates. We can drag all the way down to how far we want to go, and press OK. Now by default, it's going to be blank, and that's because nothing is there. So if I were to go to column R, put teammate, and I'll put teammate 1, and then I can drag this down, get a couple of teammates in there. And now when I go back here, it will be teammate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so forth. In my opinion, this is probably the best practice, and that's because we have to update these on other tabs as well. So if you have it all in one location, it's easier to just point to that instead of having to type it in each individual time. The other way is to not point to a location and put teammate 1, comma, teammate 2, comma, and so forth. And that's perfectly fine. That's actually how I built some of these spreadsheets. But the issue with that is when we update it on the recurring task, when we update it on the park task, it's a little bit more work for us. So it's entirely up to you. So I'm going to simply select R2 all the way through R32 and hit OK. Perfect. So as I mentioned, you need to update other columns as well, because you want everything to be in the same locations on every single tab. Otherwise, things are not going to align properly. So right here, everything's in column C for teammate. We're going to go to our park tab, click on column C, and press insert. We'll put teammate. And in this one, we don't actually need to add any drop downs because nothing is there. For done, we're going to go ahead up to the very top, insert row, put teammate in column C. And once again, we don't need to actually configure it on this one because once the task list moves, it will bring over that drop down with it. For recurring, we need to go ahead and select column C, click insert, and C1, we'll put teammate. And this time we do need to create the drop down. So I'm going to select C2 through C32, go to data, data validation, list, and then I'm simply going to select the different options all the way down through the end of 32 and hit OK. So now I can add teammate 1 for this one, teammate 3 for this one, teammate 5 for this one, and I'll leave this one blank. And then for the dashboard, we need to include that as well. So in front of status, I'm going to click insert and put teammate. Perfect. All right, so you can see right here, it says 0, and that's because there is no teammate listed. So if I were to select teammate 1, you'll see teammate 1 populate right there. So we'll clean this up in a little bit. Now, if I were to try to select pending, nothing is going to happen. If I were to try select done, nothing is going to happen. And the reason being is because all of our automations is built off of column C, not in column D. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on task list and go to view code. Then I'm going to double click on task list. And you can see right here, it says set A equals range C to C. We're going to change this to D to D. Then we'll change this one right here to D to D as well. So D:D. Then everything else should be good right here. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to double click on module 2, and this brings up the automation that is the core of what we have. So I'm not going to get into the details of it. You can read through the notes if you want to. But instead of thinking about the columns in letter form, you need to think about them in number form. So originally we had it in column C, which is column 3. So we need to change this 3 to a 4. So now it's in column D instead. Now the done print value, what this is it takes whatever is right here in B1, and it's going to print this right over here into the start week whenever it migrates over. So we need to know what the count is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So originally it was row 13, now it's in 14. And another thing that it's set to do is to copy this formula and add it to the row below whenever it adds the new row. But now instead of in column L, it's in column M. So let's go ahead and change this to M and make sure those quotes stay around it. And then this is just the number form of column M, so we need to change that to 13. All right, so we're printing B1. So if you look at the task list, B1 is where the date is. If you move that, you need to update that location. If you don't move that, you don't. But basically what that's doing is it's taking the date, and on the done tab, it's pasting whatever date you have right there in that start week. Now, if we go down here, everything should automatically flow through the way that we have it configured, so you don't need to do anything else. And that's because it's looking at the date based off of A, which we already changed in the previous one, to D to D from C to C. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this. And now we need to exit out of this entirely so we can re-enable the macros. So when you open it back up, click on Enable Macros, and let's see how we did. So let's go ahead and mark this as pending. A timestamp should appear right here under Task Started. And let's go ahead and mark it as Done. A timestamp should appear under Task Completed. It should move to the bottom of the Done tab, and it looks like it did. And on top of that, everything is aligned properly. I'm gonna go ahead and add some teammates just so we can have some stuff in there. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one right here. So let's click on Pending, timestamp appears, click on Done, and now when we go to the bottom of the Done tab, we can see right here, teammate 3, everything is good to go and acting as normal. Now, if I were to mark this as part, let's go ahead and see what happens. That's good to go. So everything's good there. And now let's move this to ready. And you can see here, nothing happens. And that's because we have more to do. So let's go ahead and right click on part, click view code. And on the part tab, this is independent from the task list. So we need to change this from C to C to D to D, and make sure we keep those in quotes right there. And then let's change this down here, just like last time. We'll change this D to D, and then let's save it. So you can see right here, it's calling the move rows to part sheet. This is actually in column 1. And you can see right here, the source cell is in column 3 right now. We need to change this source cell to column 4. Then once we do that, we should be able to hit save and run it. So let's go ahead and mark this as ready. So you can see now it's at the bottom of the Done tab and it's marked as ready. So everything's looking good there. Now for the recurring tasks, let's go ahead and change one of these to, let's say, yes. So that way this is marked as to add. And once we do that, we can click on recurring. And as you can see, it doesn't add anything to the bottom of recurring. And that's because the trigger location is incorrect as well. So let's go ahead and right click on recurring, go to view code. If you double click on recurring task, nothing is there. So we need to click on module 4. So you can see right here, it's looking at column K. Instead, we need to look at column L. And then down here, we need to change this to column L as well. And then as you can see right here, it says copy values from B to H of the recurring tab. If we were to leave that, it would not include the task focus. So instead, we want to change this to B to I. So instead of 1 to 7, I'm going to change this to 1 to 8 and change this to 1 to 8. And now we should be good. So let's go ahead and save this and test it out. And let's run it, hit OK. All right, so it did add this to this task list, but we have a couple of things wrong with it. Now, the first thing is that instead of this flowing through into task added, this flowed through into value add. So we need to adjust that. And the other thing is that column J wasn't overwritten with today's date, so it's still marked as yes. So we need to do a few more tweaks. So let's go head back into recurring. Go to view code, module 4. All right, so we need to scroll down to the bottom after this end if, and then make some edits right here. So we need to change this to L. And then instead of pointing to column I right here, we need to go to J. And then same thing right here, we need to go to J. So let's go ahead and save this and let's run it. All right, so now if I go right here, we can see that this overwrote the date and now this is no, so that's all perfect. And if we go to our task list, we can see right here, this added the timestamp right here under task added, so everything's good to go right there. And now I can delete these, and we're good. So whenever you delete something, it's going to give you this bug error, and that's because it's based off of the change. So if that ever happens, simply click on end, save it, and then open it back up and enable the macros again. All right, so let's run through the process one more time to make sure everything's good. So we'll change this to 822. That way this is marked as yes. Go to the task list, click on recurring. That automatically populates. Everything's in the right location with everything. And actually, I just realized that we have the teammates and the task inverted. So I went ahead and swatched those around real quick. Now let's try this one more time. So I'm going to select 22. That way that's yes. Let's go ahead and save this. Go to our task list, click on recurring, and now everything's in the right order. So we're all good to go there. And let's click delete that, and let's re-enable everything and try it again. All right, so we'll enable the macros. Let's mark this task as pending. Timestamp should appear. It does. Let's mark this task as parked. Should move to the bottom of the park tab. Let's mark it back as ready. Should move to the bottom of the task list. And let's mark this as done, and it should move from this list to the bottom of the done tab. And the teammate is in the right order, and everything is flowing through correctly. So everything's good to go there. So that's how to add a column if it's to the left of the trigger. If it's not to the left of the trigger, if you're adding something over here, you'll need to do kind of a similar thing. The only difference is on the code itself. You'll leave the ranges to C. And then right here, this is the timestamp. So this is going based off of whatever location you have right here, and it's offsetting 6 columns to the right, 7 columns to the right, and 8 columns to the right. So if you were to leave this as C, and you would add something to the right, you'll need to increase this number by however many columns you're adding, so that way the timestamp ends up in the right location. Otherwise, everything is pretty much the same. Only difference is you'll leave this as column 3, because that's where the trigger is going to be. You still want the print value to be shifted over to the right. You still want the formula to be shifted over to the right because you added something prior to that. But basically, you get the gist of it. If you increase something, you need to add 1 to it if it's over to the right. All right, so that's how to add another column. All right, now let's say you want to update the dropdown. So the complexity of updating dropdowns will depend on which dropdown you're doing. So for example, if you're trying to update the task type, you can simply select the entire column, then go to data validation, yes, and then this will highlight everything that's in that list. So I could say whatever this is, hit OK. And then now if I drag this down, you can see that that is now an option. Now, one thing to note is that we have some conditional formatting set up for each of these that we need to set up for that as well. So we'll select all of column A, go to Home, Conditional Formatting, Manage Rules, and this will give us every single thing that's there right now. So if you wanted to change the coloration, you can double click on it and change it right here. So custom format, select, go to fill. Let's say instead of brown, we want this to be this green color. If you want the font to be bold and you want it to be a whatever the color this is, you can hit OK. And now you can hit OK, and now that's going to be that font instead of what we had it before. Now where it says stop as true, you can uncheck that. We don't need that to be there. And now I can go ahead and select whatever option I had. So that was follow up, and now it's that new color instead of what it was before. Now if you were going to create a new one, you can go to Manage Rules, select this, go to duplicate rule. And then for the new option, I don't actually know how I spelled that. So I'm going to go back into this, select it, copy, and now we'll go back into it. So let's go ahead into conditional formatting, manage rules. Now we'll duplicate that rule, double click into it, open that up, paste whatever that new rule is, click on that little icon, and now we can add conditional formatting for that. So custom format, fill, let's make this orange color, and make the font a white and regular. Hit OK, and hit OK. And we'll hit OK one more time. So now you can see that that formatting is right there. So that's what you do to add a new drop-down option. And that's also what you do to change the coloration of the drop-down options that already exist. Now let's go ahead and delete that. And I'm actually going to remove this. So I'm going to go ahead and select the entire column, go to data validation, and then let's go ahead and get rid of this one right here. And we'll hit OK. So now there's no option in that dropdown. And just like last time, you could simply point to a location. So for example, on recurring, you could change this to you, put the different options right there, change it over there, and then that way everything's in one spot. But the concept remains the same. Now, if you're trying to do a different dropdown, it gets a little bit more complex. So for example, priority, you can do the same thing where you select the entire column, go to data validation, and you'll see the different options pop up. Now, one thing that's important for this specific type is we have automations and sorting and things like that based off of the number space dash space the name. So if you are adjusting this, make sure you have that same formatting. Otherwise, it will mess up later on down the road when it comes to your dashboard. Speaking of the dashboard, let's go ahead and click unhide, and let's unhide this combined list. And I just realized that we have to fix this one when it comes to that teammate that we did before as well. So you can see right here, we have progress/status. See, we have a spill error. Let's go ahead and click on insert. And now let's go ahead and name that as teammate. And now we're good. So what this is doing is it's taking everything that's on the task list, and then it's taking everything that's on the done tab, stacking the task list on top of the done tab, removing any blank rows. And then we are creating this little task summary. And this is the task, a dash, and then it's the priority, but it's the priority minus the one space dash space. So it's just the actual word, space, a dash, and then it's the status. So not started. So you can see right here, set a project list, dash, recurring, dash, not started. So that's exactly what this is. So now we're good to go there. And this task list right here is what gets pulled inside of the dashboard. So if I were to go down here, you can see that we have that task list is exactly what's right there. So now that that's fixed, we can go ahead and hide that again. Another thing we want to do is unhide and go to worksheet. And I just realized I have the task focus actually right here, and that's what's pointing to right there. I don't want that. Instead, I want it to point to the one that's on the recurring task. So let's go ahead and click on this task focus, go down, go to data validation, yes. And then instead of pointing to the worksheet, we're going to go ahead and delete that, go to our recurring task, and then we're going to select that option instead. So now we're good to go right there. So now for the task focus, all you need to do to add a new task focus is go to recurring, and you can put whatever you want right there. Once you go back to the task focus, you'll see that option populate. And now since we don't need this right here on the worksheet, we can go ahead and delete that. So we'll click on delete. All this should shift up. All the visualizations that are tied to those pivot tables should still populate based off of that as well. So now let's go ahead and hide the worksheet again. All right, so going back to this formula on the dashboard, you can see that the order is no longer in the correct order. And what we want is for it to sort by the date first and then sort by the priority. But since we added that teammate, it's pointing to the wrong location. So what we want to do instead is we want to change this from a 5 and a 4 to a 6 and a 5. Let's press enter. And now we have that properly done. So it's going to sort by the date first, and then it's going to sort by the priority. Just to test things out, let's go ahead and change one of these dates. So instead of 8/19, let's put 8/29. Press enter. And now we should see it sort by the date first and then the priority second. So that's all good. Now let's change the high to the 24th. So that way two are the same. So we'll change this to the 24th. So now we can see that we have 24th, and then it sorts by 1 to 3 after that. So everything is good to go right there. Then if we go over here, everything is looking good. So everything's good. Okay. If you want to rename something, so for example, done. If you want to rename this to completed, for example, let's go ahead and mark this as completed. Now if we were to change this to done, nothing's going to happen. That's because we need to update the location that needs to move to. So let's go ahead and save this, go in here to view code, and then we'll go to module 2. And you can see right here we have the different source, we have our destination, parked, all that stuff. So right here it says done. Let's go ahead and change this to completed or whatever you named it as. All right, so we're going to leave this up here as worksheet done. WS done, and the reason why we're doing that is because we're assigning WS done to be this completed tab, and that way we don't have to redo all these different formulas that points to this WS done because it's already assigned. So let's go ahead and save this and let's run it. We'll get this end message. We'll need to re-enable the macros. So now let's click on pending, let's click on done, and now the done will move to the bottom of the completed tab instead of the bottom of the done tab. So everything's looking good right there. All right, so let's say we want to have the month right here, but we also want to have another month right over here to the right. Let's go ahead and select column H through O, copy, click on P, and paste it. Now here, we're going to type equals EO month, open parentheses, click the start date, put a comma, put a 0, close parentheses, +1, and press enter. So what this is going to do is it's going to take whatever month is right here and be the first of the month right after it. So if we were to change this from 8/1 to 9/1, you'll see that this now updates to September. And you can see that the dates shift automatically based off of October 1st. So that's all good to go. Now for the formatting, you can see that we have everything populated based off of whatever the date is here. We don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and select Q through W, go to conditional formatting, manage rules. And when we copied everything over, it automatically populated all of the formatting as well. So this done is good, pending is good, today is good. All we need to do is double click right here on the month. And right now it's pointing to compare to I1, which is September 1st. We want it to point to Q1 instead. So I'm going to click right behind I, and change that to Q. And then I'm gonna go ahead and change this to a different color as well. So we'll say custom format, and we'll change it to be, we'll say a blue color, and we'll hit OK and hit OK. I'll uncheck that since we don't really need it and hit OK. So now whenever it is in October, it'll be this blue color. Now you can see right here, this is still populating as this green, and that's because this is a fixed color, not a conditional formatting color. So all we need to do is change this to be whatever that is as well. So now everything's in the same location. So let's go ahead and change this to July, for example. So we have July right here, which I have nothing populated in there. And then now August, we have everything right there, so everything's good to go. And one last thing to mention is that this date right here is the deadline. So if there is no deadline for that task, it will not appear anywhere. So just keep that in mind. If you want to update the dropdowns for the triggers, you'll just need to select all the columns, go to data, data validation, change it to whatever you want. As you know, inside the VBA, inside the macros code, parked, ready, pending, and done are all trigger words. So if we wanted to change this to completed, for example, we can hit OK. And now, as you know, it's not going to work when it comes to completed because that's not a trigger word. It's also not going to be formatted correctly. So we'll need to select D, go to Home, Conditional Formatting, Manage Rules. And then if it ever happens where you insert something or it gets a little bit misaligned, you don't need to have all these different rules. You can simply select right here, change this D3 all the way through the end, hit check, and now it's going to go all the way through the end. So you can simply copy, paste, check, paste, check, paste, check, paste, check, paste, check. And then for anything that's all by itself, simply click on the negative button and it will delete everything so that way everything's aligned properly again. Now, for done, you can double click, select right here, completed, hit OK, uncheck value is true, hit OK. So now that's good to go. We'll go into the task list, go to view code, and now right here, if it's done, we want to change that to completed, and that's going to trigger the timestamp, and we'll save that. And then go down here to module 2, and the trigger right here is done. So we'll change this to completed, and everything should be good to go there. So let's go ahead and save this, exit out. We'll change this to pending, change this to completed, and this moved automatically from right there. If we go to the completed tab, now it's right there. So everything's working exactly as we want it to be. All right, so that's a few customizations that you can make to your Excel task tracker, and really the sky's the limit. So now you're all set to customize your task tracker however you see fit for your exact position. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions and like and comment for more.